House of the Dragon Season 2 drops this weekend. Let's get you all caught up. Welcome back to Gavin Goes to the Movies. I'm Gavin. Let's talk movies, or in this case, TV. The first season of House of the Dragon dropped 2 years ago, so if you need a refresher, I got you covered. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video while I give you my predictions of what may happen in Season 2. First things first, House of the Dragon is a prequel series to Game of Thrones. It's actually set about 200 years before Game of Thrones. Now the show focuses on the history of the powerful House Targaryen. You know, the ones that we see riding around on dragons in all the trailers. And of course, with any powerful family throughout history, there's going to be a power struggle. Now the power struggle in this series is known as Dance of the Dragons, for obvious reasons. So what exactly happens in Season 1? First off, we have King Viserys Targaryen. He's the ruling king at the beginning of the series. Now Viserys was chosen as heir to the Iron Throne over his older cousin Princess Rhaenys Targaryen. With his first wife Queen Aemma, they only had one child, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. Now after Rhaenyra's mom Aemma dies early on in the series, Rhaenyra is the only living heir to King Viserys, and he names her as his only heir and really goes against the tradition of male succession in the series. I'm gonna stop right here for a minute. Remember Daenerys from Game of Thrones? Well, Rhaenyra is the 6th great grandmother of Daenerys and 7th grandmother to Jon Snow.
That's weird.
Don't worry, that's child's play compared to what happens in House of the Dragon. King Viserys' younger brother Daemon is a fierce warrior and dragon rider who has a rather unpredictable personality. Now Daemon, he's Rhaenyra's uncle, who ultimately marries her, his niece. I told you it'd get weird. Moving on to Otto Hightower, he's the hand of the king and a key advisor to King Viserys, as well as the father to Alicent Hightower. But Gavin, who's Alicent Hightower? So she is the daughter to Otto, like we just covered, but she also used to be Rhaenyra's childhood best friend. That is, until she was married off to King Viserys, aka Rhaenyra's dad. Now as she gets older, her and King Viserys end up having several children together, including a son named Aegon II Targaryen. And what this does is create a rival claim to the throne. Yeah, the Iron Throne, the same one that Rhaenyra was promised to from her dad. And then we got Lord Corlys Velaryon. He's the ruler of Driftmark and head of House Velaryon. Now remember earlier when I said King Viserys was chosen as heir to the Iron Throne a long time ago over his cousin? Lord Corlys ends up marrying her and they end up having several children, including Laenor Velaryon, who Rhaenyra ends up marrying, but only to strengthen her position as heir to the Iron Throne. As I'm sure that no one is surprised by, King Viserys' health begins to decline over the years, and then Alicent and Otto Hightower move in to crown Aegon II. Who, if you don't remember, is Viserys and Alicent's first son, even though King Viserys already named Rhaenyra as heir. This is going to be the beginning of the Civil War, where we have the Greens who support Alicent and Aegon II, and the Blacks who support Rhaenyra and believe that she is rightful heir to the throne. And that's about where they left off. Now that we're all caught up, what can we see happening in Season 2? Well, one thing that we know for certain is that George R.R. Martin wrote the novel Fire and Blood, which tells the story of the Dance of the Dragons and was published in 2018. Martin is also involved in the development of the show based on the novel. So we can expect the story to closely follow the novel, hopefully avoiding the disappointment that many of us felt in the later seasons of the Game of Thrones. I'm looking at you, Season 8, and we are definitely going to lose some dragons. If you remember in the first season of Game of Thrones, we see Daenerys with 3 lonely dragon eggs. Various events eventually lead to the loss of all dragons. Similarly, during the Civil War known as the Dance of the Dragons, we can expect to see the loss of several dragons, and just like the rest of the series, don't grow too attached to the characters, because once you do, you know they're going to be killed off. Westeros is full of other houses, including ones that we saw in Game of Thrones, such as the Starks, Baratheons, Tyrells, and the list goes on and on. Now I would love to see some of these houses that we know and love come into the show and pick a side, either green or black. According to George R.R. Martin, the novel Fire and Blood will need at least 3 full seasons to tell the entire story. Now currently House of the Dragon has only been greenlit for Season 2, so we really shouldn't anticipate the end of the story this season, but for those of you that have seen Game of Thrones, they already tell us how it ends.
Rhaenyra Targaryen was murdered by her brother, or rather, his dragon. It ate her while her son watched. What's left of her is buried in the crypts right down there.
There you have it, everybody. Those are my predictions for Season 2 of House of the Dragon. I really enjoyed Season 1, and the fact that, like I was saying before, that this is already a story that's done. We're not going to have to run into that debacle of Season 8 of Game of Thrones because the story wasn't finished. This one is finished, and I have high hopes that Season 2 is just going to ramp up the intensity, the betrayal, the deaths, everything that we know and love about this series. I hope that answered any questions you had about what's going on in Season 1 leading up into Season 2. Of course there's more characters, of course there's more story, but this is a good overview of what you should know going in. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe to my channel for movie news, reviews, rankings, recaps, and more. Until next time everybody, see you later.